In 2018, I was travelling in China, in the northwest of China, where mulch film is a very common agricultural input. And I was looking at methods there of using mulch film, looking at the crops they used it on and how it was done. And I was sitting in one of the government factories where the plastic was made, the plastic mulch was made, and talking to one of my Chinese counterparts. And he was showing me photos of various agricultural practices, and he was pushing them, actual photos, across the desk. And he pushed one across the desk, which was a photo of a guy on a motorbike riding down an avenue of trees, and the trees were covered in frost and snow. And I remember thinking, the thing that stuck in my head was he must be freezing, because he was on a motorbike and he just had a shirt on and nothing else. And this is that photo. If you look at it, you'll realise what I very quickly realised also, that that's not snow and frost, it's plastic. And this is the legacy of 40 to 50 years of use of cheap, thin plastic mulch film in China. This is what happens to the waste. In many cases, it blows away, it ends up in trees, it ends up in waterways, a lot of it ends up in the soil. It's an environmental catastrophe, and you'd probably comfort yourselves with the fact that, Australia's a first world country, right? That sort of thing could never happen here. I was in Bowen in North Queensland about 4 months ago, and this is what I saw. This pile of plastic is plastic mulch. By the way, a necessary input, okay? It conserves moisture, it acts as a weed barrier, it encourages vigorous early growth in plants, so we definitely need it. But that's the output from one 25-acre patch of ground for 2 crop cycles only. That's how much plastic you end up with from that practice. And there's a reason why that plastic is still sitting there in the paddock, and the reason for that is it's very difficult to get rid of. In a lot of cases, plastic mulch these days is contaminated with various chemical inputs, it's contaminated with soil and vegetable matter, so it's very difficult to recycle. A lot of waste depots in those areas will not take it anymore, and where they do, it's very expensive. I spoke to one grower last week in Stanthorpe who is loading up a truck and taking waste mulch 60 kilometres away to Warwick, because that's the only depot within his region that'll accept it. A lot of growers used to, back in the good old days, burn it. That's illegal now, and there's heavy fines for doing so. And of course, none of them want to bury it on farm, because we know that plastics of all types leach toxins into groundwater. So this is the conundrum that we have, all right? Plastic is great for productivity, and the reason for that is because it's durable and it lasts a long time, so it acts really well as a mulch film. But every problem that we have with it is because it's durable and lasts a long time. And so what we've managed to do, and this is where Teramax comes in, what we've managed to do over 7 years and many iterations is create an environmentally compliant, biodegradable mulch film that you use in just the same way as plastic, but which you plough into the ground at the end of the crop cycle with absolutely no harm to the soil. This is it that you can see in the background there. That's our product in the field. Now, that wasn't an easy thing to do. Let me explain why briefly. Plastic mulch is a blunt instrument, right? You just make it as cheap as you can and make sure it's strong enough that it doesn't break when you roll it out with a machine, and you're done. But if you're trying to create a compostable film, you need to create something that's actually going to disappear at some precise point in the future. So it needs to last long enough to do what you want it to do, but then it has to go away. And in doing that, it still has to be strong enough to be laid by a machine. It also needs to be durable enough to stand up to a whole lot of variables in climate and temperature and soil moisture and chemicals and other things. It has to be genuinely soil friendly, okay? We're talking about ploughing this into the soil at the end, so we want to be pretty certain that it's not doing any damage when we do that. And it also has to be predictable in the way it performs, so we need a very precise and repeatable manufacturing process. Now, we've managed to tick all those boxes. And what that means is that a couple of things. One, that there's a lot of barriers to entry to other companies trying to enter this space. But it means that we've got some great traction. We've had over 20 successful trial sites across Australia and the US on a whole range of crops. We've got suppliers and distributors who are wanting to work with us now, and growers who are giving us purchase orders actually that are just sitting on the shelf waiting for us to execute. It gives us access to a market in Australia which is about $60 million. That's the tip of the iceberg. The US market is over $500 million. If we look at parallel products that are also in that same sort of value chain, we start talking about things like banana bunch bags. There were 1,500 tonnes of those used in Queensland last year, and they're all plastic. So it's a huge opportunity. We've got a great product. To get it to market, what we need to do is switch on the machines, and that takes capital. This is an exciting investment opportunity because, unlike a lot of early stage companies, we've already cleared the development runway. So we have imminent cash flow, imminent profitability, and we think that we can be a $30 million company within 5 years across Australia and USA. Now that's exciting as an investment, of course, but what's really exciting is that this innovation gives us the chance to have immediate impact. Right now, we can start tomorrow taking 20,000 tonnes of single-use plastic off farm, out of landfill and out of the supply chain entirely. So if that sort of early impact, environmental impact and commercial opportunity interests you, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.